Hi there guys, in this video I'm on my Nightblade healer. This video I will be going over how to heal with a Nightblade. If you missed my Nightblade healing build, I will be putting a link to that video up on the screen here as well as in the description. In that video I go over my gear and my skills and my champion points for healing, so go check that out if you haven't. So to start out, I will be going through Vet Wayrest Sewers. It was the goal keep for the day, so it was pretty easy for me to find a pug group to run through quickly. For 4-man dungeons, I like to run a DPS bar as well as a healing bar, and I really do try to be DPSing whenever I'm not healing, because that's really where the Nightblade healer shines. Is they are such a versatile class, and they're able to put out enough healing to keep the party alive, and they're able to do some pretty good DPS as well, so it's almost like having a third DPS in the party. You do also, before you start the dungeon, you're going to want to assess your group. You're going to want to see if there are any Magicka players. If there are, then I generally ask them if they want me running Ellie Drain or the Mana Orbs. Some people like Ellie Drain over the Mana Orbs, only because the Mana Orbs you have to hit a synergy, and some people don't like taking that second to hit an orb for mana as opposed to the Ellie Drain, which is always up on the target. So I generally ask my party which one they prefer before starting. If you have all stamina, if all the DPS are stamina, then I will run siphoning attacks, and that's going to be helping my mana to help my resources. It's also a good idea to inform your tank that you aren't a Templar, just in case they didn't see the party and saw that you were a Nightblade healer, because they're going to have to plan accordingly their stamina usage, because they will not be getting those shards that the Templars very often throw for them. So you do want to let your tank know that. So when healing with a Nightblade, you really want to think of the Nightblade as a hot healer. So healing over time. Nightblades do not have very powerful burst healing, so you really have to rely on keeping your hots up on the party at all times to mitigate any of that incoming damage. If someone does take some spike damage, then I will go to either my healing ward, or if the whole party is taking a lot of damage, then you're going to rely on spamming your healing springs or using one of your ultimates to mitigate and or heal the incoming damage. So for trash, I generally will put my hots up, which will be mutagen, and then I will also lay down a refreshing path, which is great because it's going to be doing healing and damage. And then I will flip to my DPS bar, and I'm going to be spamming my Sap Essence. Sap Essence is a great AoE DPS, and it will also heal your group. So it's really an awesome skill for trash. It's going to get those mobs down quicker, and it's also going to be healing any incoming damage. If someone does happen to take some spike damage, then all I have to do is flip over to my healing bar, throw up a healing ward, or throw down the healing springs or mutagen just to top people off. So trash is generally that back and forth between keeping those hots up at all times and then using Sap Essence and your DPS in between. So for single target and boss fights, for DPS, I've been using Crippling Grasp, and then you're going to be weaving with your funnel health. In my build video, I actually use Structure Entropy instead of Crippling Grasp, but I still use Structure Entropy, but only for ranged fights. I find Crippling Grasp does a lot more damage, and then I also like Crippling Grasp because it is a dot, so I'm able to throw it up on the boss, and then I don't have to worry about it for a little bit. I can go back to my healing bar, do a little bit of healing, and then I can switch back to my DPS bar and just reapply it when I need to. So I do like it because of that. The Structure Entropy, though, is really great for ranged fights because you really want to keep that major sorcery buff up at all times, and Structure Entropy is going to be the only way you can do it on a ranged fight. Generally, I run Crippling Grasp, but on a ranged fight, you want to run Structure Entropy. And then, as far as healing, it's going to be the same as what I've said before. You want to keep those hots up at all times. That's probably the most important thing about a Nightblade is you really have to be ahead of the damage. So you want to, kind of assess when that damage is going to be coming, and you really have to be on top of it, because the only way really to do the burst healing is to use the healing ward. And the healing ward, it is a good heal, and it does give the bubble, but it does cost a lot of magicka, so it's not something you're going to be able to spam all the time. So really you have to rely on those hots to keep people topped off. So that's generally what I do for dungeons, 4-man content. Next I will be going over how I switch up my build for raiding. So for raiding on a Nightblade healer, I change up my gear a little bit, and I change up my spells accordingly to work with the other healer in the group. Raiding, I feel, is a little bit different than 4-man's in that instead of doing mainly DPS and just, you know, keeping the party alive, I feel raiding is more about really buffing my raid as well as keeping my raid alive. So I switch up my gear and my skills a little bit to go more of a buff slash heal build. So for gear, probably one of the best healer set pieces out there right now is going to be the Spell Power Cure, because it gives such a great buff to your raid. It gives 249 increased weapon and spell damage, so having both healers in a raid running this really increases your raid's DPS quite a bit. So I do highly recommend running this as one of your 5 pieces. It drops a white gold tower. It is a drop set, so it can be kind of hard to farm. As you can see here, I have really bad traits on all my pieces here, just because I haven't been able to get the divines or the infused that I would like. But even though I don't have the best traits, it still is helping up my raid a lot, so I do run it. And then the second set that I normally run is going to be the healer set. This drops in the new vet DSA, so you can get it at champion 160. It's just a great healing set. It's give you that magicka recovery, spell damage, which are all great stats for healing, and then the 5-piece gives you minor mending, which increases your healing done. So it's a really good secondary set to go with the Spell Power Cure. Now another good set to run with the Spell Power Cure is going to be the Worm Cult set. Now, I feel that you really only need one of these in a raid, so if your other healer is running this, then you necessarily don't need to run this, but having that reduced magicka cost for the entire party is going to be really beneficial to your magicka users, so having this as your secondary set is another option. And then the third option for your secondary set with the Spell Power Cure is going to be the Infallible Ether. Now, the Infallible Ether is more of a DPS set, but the 5-piece bonus on this is when you're fully charged heavy attacks, when you hit the target, you're going to give the target minor vulnerability, which is going to increase the damage done to them by 8%. So since you're a healer and you're going to be doing lots of heavy attacks anyway to regen your magicka, you're going to be able to keep this buff up for the party almost all the time. So that's why the Infallible Ether is another great healing set to use to help buff your raid. So all of these sets are really going to help your raid out as far as, you know, buffing their damage, helping their resources. So that's what I really go for when I'm doing raids. So as far as skills, I changed up my skills a little bit to be more resource healing rather than just straight up DPS. So on my resto bar, I generally run Quick Siphon. The other healer I usually run with runs Ellie Drain, but it might be vice versa, depending on, you know, work it out with your other healer in the group. So I generally run Quick Siphon on my healing bar. My other skills don't change on this bar. And then I move my Refreshing Path to my DPS bar, and then I do run the Mystic Orbs on my DPS bar as well. because I'll probably always going to be running the Mystic Orbs, because you're probably going to be running with a Templar healer, and they'll be running these spears. So really, I don't do a whole lot of DPS when I'm raiding. I do have my funnel health here still, and I do have you know, my sap essence for AoE, but generally I'm going to be providing resources and just straight up healing the party. So that's pretty much how things change for raiding. So last part of the video here, I'm just going to be showing some clips of me running through Vet Hellra with my guild that I'm in, just to show how my healing changes when I do raid. It's a lot more healing rather than pure DPS, and you will see me providing, you know, resources and whatnot to my party. So I really want to thank you guys for watching all my videos. I want to thank everyone who's subscribed to my channel. I've gotten a lot of subs the past couple weeks, so thank you guys so much for subscribing. I'm really happy that you guys are enjoying these videos, so I will keep making these videos and coming up with new builds when I can. So hit the sub button below if you haven't, and leave some comments below as well if you'd like to see any other builds or see me do any other kinds of videos. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.